It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day, and we are back in Bayho, the scene of the crime. We have done a lot of work for this client over the years. She is always so great about maintaining her property and making changes as she needs to. There's some things that we're going to be doing today. We've got Daddy and Mel and Kevin and Cullen are going to be cutting out this sod with this handy dandy sod cutter. And don't get too excited because we're going to be putting down a new lawn. I know, but that's what Gail wants. So after they cut out all this crappy old sod, we're going to lay a new garden of grass in here. As far as other things to do, this awful ferny, weedy thing, asparagus fern, is a never-ending battle. So we'll be cutting all of this out of the succulents. We're going to take this aloe arborescens out of this pot. I don't know what I was thinking. It must have been a project leftover, but it's just way too much for this pot. Over here, the aloe fairhawks, so gorgeous, but our Desmediana Joe Hoke has bloomed out. Now, you can see that she's not quite done blooming, but I'm not here often enough to let this go. So I have brought a replacement plant to put in here. I brought a Mediopicta. Actually, it's the one from my yard. I was at Waterwise getting some stuff for her and for some other people, and I forgot to get a Joe Hoke, so you know, you do what you have to do. Dug my Mediopicta out of my yard. I'm going to pop that in there. Down here, remember when we did this slope? Oh, and this pot is going to get a makeover too. Oh, this is new. This rope. Yeah, see all of the oxalis? I know this looks like a disaster. Hannah's all, I love it. But it's really, after it's flowered, it's not that dramatic to get it out. So that's something her gardener is actually, believe it or not, on top of. But I did tell Gail that while we were here, we were going to take care of weeding out this area where the Dracaena Draco and the barrel cactus is, and this area right in here where our gorgeous planted fountain is, because I just can't not do that. So, oh, and look at the red bud. The Circis canadensis forest pansy setting bud. That looks really cool. And all of the things that we... Say what?
Yes, I love it.
Oh, the weeping willow. Yeah, that's such a stunner. Yeah, that, you know, the things that we planted are doing their thing. Everything is thriving. The aloe arborescens, bush aloe over here is bushing. We're going to add more of that today, and I'll show you from where we're gonna get it. Yeah. Moving rock around our Bayho client's garden has become a way of life, and it is truly job security. She's decided that she is going to put a shed in here. So Blonde Terry is systematically picking out all of the rock, and we're going to rehome the rock in other areas of the garden. These plants are going to be moved down onto the slope, and we're just going to clear the space for the shed. So after we cut the sod, Greg rents a dump trailer, and all of the sod goes in the back of the trailer and then off to the dump. Here, this was a really good idea, doing the Petalanthus bracteus. I'm really super happy with how this looks. However, our Aloe cameronii is starting to eat the driveway. So these are going to be pulled out, they're going to be cut off, and they're going to be reset as cuttings in this garden. And this aloe arborescens, this bush aloe, is another one that we will move down onto the slope. Almost there. There's a little work. Okay, so, oh, here's a really great thing to see. In here, look at this Standus Wortkoff. Aeoniums. Happy! I'm going to add an aloe plicatillus, a fan aloe in here because this area is just looking a little light. I think we had something in here and it died. Look at these Cameronii. I put these here last maintenance, which was a couple of months ago, I believe. Look at the color, how bright red, and see, still no roots. Basically, we just, we just laid them on top of the rock. So I'm going to go ahead and use my handy dandy multi-tool and at least give these things a chance to root. Goodness, Laura, lazy. And set it down on top of the dirt. Remember, if your succulent stands up, you have done your job. But isn't that color spectacular? And look, even though it didn't have a single root, it's throwing off all of these beautiful flowers. It's pupping. It's just as happy as a pig in poo. Same here. This is Aloe Cameronii. This is starting to green up a little bit because we did get some rain. But what a great idea in this beautiful seafoam colored pot. This Aloe plicatillus hybrid, you can see, has got some mealybug. So we're going to treat that with some insecticidal soap today. You can go to any place you want and get any brand or variety of insecticidal soap you like, but it really is very effective on the mealies.
I think the portulacaria is done.
The portulacaria, yes, her gardener has shorn it into submission. Hannah likes it, so yay. Look at that cotyledon blooming in the back. That looks so cool. But are you getting the sense of scale and scope on this stand of Zwartkoff Aeonium? This was planted as a 5-gallon in a 5-gallon container. And talk about a right plant in the right spot. Now, of course, these yellow flowers mean that that particular piece of plant or that mother or that rosette is done. So the gardener has been instructed to cut these out when they're finished blooming. But then, because this is such a mature stand and it's so happy, more rosettes just form beneath the cuts and circle of life. This Aloe Bainesii was absolutely gigantic and eating her house a few years ago, and we had to dig it out because it was just too big, and we found a broken irrigation pipe underneath it, which would explain its growth. And what I did is I just stuck pieces back in the ground, and you can see that they have done very, very well. Planting this as a cutting worked really, really well. I see mealybug on this too, though, quite a bit, so we'll be treating this one. No big deal. It's not infested yet, so I'm not too terribly concerned about it. These Aloe Dorothiae in this garden have always been so great. This is a xeriscape. We don't have any water going in this area here. We capped the sprinklers, so all of the plants that are in this space have been reliant on rainwater for the last 4 or 5 years that this garden has been installed. This Hesper aloe isn't particularly happy. It's not dead. I think if we just pull all the dead wood out, we just got some rain, so I think it'll be fine. We'll give it another chance and see if it regenerates. A testimony to microclimates would be this stand of Zwartkoff Aeonium. Clearly nothing like its friend over on the other side of the garden. This area gets a lot more sun and clearly less irrigation, I'm thinking, due to all the air roots down there at the base of the plant. But yeah, these went dormant hard and it doesn't really look like they're going to make a comeback. Behind it is a different variety of Aeonium, Arboretum, and clearly it's a lot happier. So my strategy is to pull this out and then underplant with Aeonium Sunburst and Aeonium Kiwi. Then the Kalanchoe Orgialis here isn't looking the greatest, so that's going to get... Yeah, everything looks a little thirsty on this side. But we're going to pull out the Orgialis. we're going to pull out this kalanchoe and replace with some new things to just brighten this up a little bit over here. Okay, so I got in and I cut out all that ugly asparagus fern. But see how it exposed the butt of this Crassula argentea? This doesn't look good anymore. So, quick fix. I'm just going to dig these out. The roots of Crassula and the stems and the trunks are so soft and easy to work with. So we'll just do this. Now, I do not recommend trying this with any other type of plant, like a traditional perennial or annual. Only succulents will tolerate and thrive with this kind of abuse. Okay, so now it's out. It does, right? I was just going to say, well, maybe we're done here. But I'm going to use my shovel to knock away some of the rock. And then I'm going to identify some pretty pieces that aren't so leggy, like that.
And maybe smaller ones too, since it is a little leggy.
Yeah, smaller ones too. But basically, you're just gonna cherry pick off of what you dug out, looking for pieces that have, some stand-up power. And then we're just going to tuck these back in to the spot like so, like a bouquet of flowers, and just shove the dirt and the rock around them. And now what's going to happen is this is going to turn very yellow because it is a Crassula argentea sunset. There's nothing more stressful than having your head cut off. So due to the stress of being cut, it should color up nicely. Here in beautiful Bayho, which is very coastal in San Diego County, we aren't going to worry about rotting on this plant either. So we don't have to take time to harden it off or do anything special. And now I have fixed it. I can get on about my business. I've got more pieces to tuck in other places, and we are good to go. It's about the end of the day, but I wanted to give you an update and show you how it's going. The guys and Blonde Terry have cleared out this bed of plant material.
Terry's done it.
Yeah, pretty much all Blonde Terry. And just getting rid of the rest, getting the rock moved out of the way so that a shed can go in. Look at this masterful ribbon she created with the black rock that was all mixed in over there in the new shed area. It looks so pretty, doesn't it? These are the plants that were taken out. You'll note that they are now cuttings, and these are going to be installed down on the slope. I did cut out all that asparagus fern, which, just looks really nice over here, and Terry was able to finish it off with that black rock. You can see that the guys have almost, they're just doing finish work on the lawn removal. I could cry. My idea with this client was to take this flagstone and run it through and widen these flower beds. And, just kind of connect. She's got beautiful flagstone over there too, and just not do a lawn, but she's just not there yet. So we are going to, give her grass. But if you're thinking about your backyard, think about flagstone and pebbles and mosaics. It's a beautiful alternative. Yeah, this aloe arborescence that was so massive, the guys were able to get this thing beat into submission, and it looks a lot more balanced in this pot now. Oh yeah, and over here we took out the Joe Hoke and popped in the Mediopicta from my garden. I'm gonna miss you, Mediopicta. but I'll see Mediopicta a couple times a year when I come here to do maintenance. So that's good. And then down here, you know, this pot also got tightened up a bit. We put some of the jade cuttings in here. They'll turn nice and yellow. That'll be very, very pretty. Turns out, unbeknownst, amongst all of these weeds was a puntia. I forgot that we had planted that there. And also want to point out to you that all of this oxalis, all these weeds that are growing everywhere, are growing despite the fact that there is weed fabric down under here. See, we've got a lot of rock, a few inches thick, and then we have the black weed barrier fabric, but that oxalis managed to figure it out anyway. So love-hate, right? Looks like we had a gopher here, so we'll get rid of this soil. That was all hidden under the oxalis. Yeah, and up there too. We'll get that cleaned up, and also the guys will finish weeding down here. This also has the barrier fabric underneath, but as you can see, the weeds find a way, don't they? So that Joe Hoke wasn't quite blooming, so Hannah collected. Quite what I say?
You said it wasn't quite blooming.
Oh, it wasn't quite done blooming, but she pulled the flowers that hadn't opened yet, and there's actually more than this, and she's going to take them home and put them in a vase and preserve them. As I was walking through, I noticed a little hummingbird nest. Isn't that precious? We'll try to not disturb that. Very, very sweet. And look at these agavoide lipsticks. Aren't those just so pretty? That's stress from winter and from the fact that I put those in a couple months ago as cuttings. So here I took that Kalanchoe bayerensis that was so leggy, and I just cut it up and reset it. I took out those Zwartkopf that looked so bad, and I added some new Aeonium sunbursts. And I also brought a bag of 3/4 inch Palm Springs Gold gravel. And I really like it. I have not worked with this before, but this Arizona River Rock, the round stuff, is really nice contrasting with that gravel. They have the same colors in them, but just different texture, which I'm loving. And then that Kalanchoe orchialis, we just pulled it out and decided we didn't need to do anything else there. It was fine. Echeveria harmsii ruby slippers. Oh God, that's gorgeous. Woo! And look at that Ruchia. Look at this. How beautiful this is and how well it's doing. This is a very persnickety plant. You plant it in the right spot and it does this. You plant it in the wrong spot and it doesn't do that. Okay, then over here, I decided, as I was cleaning all the dead off of that Hesper aloe, it was just ended up being more dead than alive. So I moved this agave potatorum into this pot from a pot in the backyard where it was really overcrowded, and I'm loving the look of that.
We moved the Cameroni.
Oh, are we going over here? Okay. Yes, Hannah dug up all the Cameroni and the arborescens and cut off the trunks and reset them, so you can see here that they're just popped back in the ground as a cutting, and I think they're already turning color. Mm-hmm. They're already getting very, very red. So how much better does that look? 100. Oh my gosh. Oh, there's more. Okay. Oh yeah. We've been all over this garden today. I can't even remember where we've been. All right. Now these Aeonium sunbursts and these Zwartkopf, you can see that they're getting ready to bloom, or some of them have, but I'm going to leave this for the gardener to deal with because it is so pretty and they're not done, and he can handle that. We also planted a little aloe plicatillis right there because I felt like this was just a little empty. That's all we did in here, isn't it? Yeah, that's all we did in here. This is just, this garden just looks so amazing. I'm so pleased. This has been Laura Eubanks reporting from Bayho, California, with Kevin, Mel, Cullen, Terry, Hannah, Daddy Greg, and myself with your succulent tip of the day. Bye, guys.